Welcome back to another video on the MLD page. In today's episode, we're going to be doing the 2024 NFL mock draft. This is going to be a fun one. The real draft is today, so we're going to be able to come back in a couple hours soon as we watch this and have conversations on what we agree with, disagree with, and what's going to work out. This draft is going to be based on what I would do, so it's not me predicting tonight's draft. It's 100% what I would do. And the first thing I would do is take Caleb Williams, number 1 for the Chicago Bears. Then after that, I would take Drake May, number 2 for the Commanders. I know that a lot of people been on the Jayden Daniels hype. A lot of people been liking Jayden Daniels, but I'm personally going Drake May. He's been the guy the whole draft process. I'm not going to just flop on him. Especially his ceiling is amazing. So is Daniel's ceiling. And Drake May is younger too. Like Drake May, I see him with a higher ceiling and he's younger. Like I don't see the reason why you wouldn't go him. But also Jayden Daniels is amazing too. So I don't want to just say I don't see a reason. But at pick number 3 though, we're gonna have the Broncos trade up. The Broncos, they've been eyeing a QB, it seems like, because they got Zach Wilson, who I don't believe they're going to go in as their starter. And they let go of Russell Wilson a couple months ago. So I'm pretty sure they've been knowing they're going to come up in this draft. I would hope so, at least. I hope they find something to do at quarterback, and this would be one of the answers. If the Broncos don't trade up, I would expect the Las Vegas Raiders to trade up and take Jayden Daniels. Somebody might trade up and take Jayden Daniels, though, because if he goes to 3, I can see the Giants taking him at 6. But, yeah, Jayden Daniels at 3. Now we're going to go Marvin Harrison, Joe Alt, Rome Odunze, and Talise. So, to start off with Marvin Harrison, Cardinals need a pass catcher bad. They let go of Marquise Brown, so I hope they have them a replacement. Joe Alt, he comes into Harbaugh's scheme as a very gritty guy, and he sets the edge completely because they already got the left side figured out with Rashawn Slater. Joe Alt, yes, he's a left tackle, but you'll move him to the right. He's a good run blocker, great pass blocker, and one thing I'll always say about the Chargers is I'll never believe in them making the playoffs until Trey Pipkins is out of that starting unit. Ever since that game where he lost them against Max Crosby in the last game of the season to have a chance in the playoffs, that was the day I said I'm giving up on the Chargers as long as they have Trey Pipkins, and they've had him for the past 2 years. Get Trey Pipkins out of there, or he can be a swing tackle. He's cool as a swing tackle. Stop starting him at right tackle going into the season. That's bad. So we got Joe Alt. At 6, we got Rome Odunze for the New York Football Giants. Yes. Him over Malik Neighbors is it's a decision to make, but he fits the Giants better. I feel like he's not going to be set up for failure. The Giants need an X receiver, and he goes in and is an X receiver, and he's an elite prospect. So having an elite prospect also going somewhere that he fits is an ideal opportunity. Then we have Talise. Talise is a dominant run blocker at the right tackle position. So the Titans, they start off, they rebuild by building through the trenches. And then we got the Atlanta Falcons, who I'm going to have trade back, believe it or not. I think this is a trade back spot with the Colts or with the Bengals. And the reason I say that is Malik Neighbors is a special talent, and having him this far would be crazy for some people. Some people would have Malik Neighbors as their wide receiver 1 going into this draft, and the Bengals have a bunch of questions with T. Higgins. So getting Malik Neighbors and finding out what you do with T. Higgins this offseason or in the future will be amazing for them. The Bears, they're going Byron Murphy. Matt Eberflus, his scheme, he needs a defensive interior. And in the past couple seasons, he hasn't had a defensive interior. The fact that he's been their coach this long without the main part of his scheme has been kind of funny to me. And they get the guy right here with Byron Murphy. Right here, we're going to go with Troy. Troy is a swing tackle. He could play tackle, guard, maybe even center. And that's exactly what the Jets need. The Jets need someone who can play all sides of the offensive line because they have a bunch of old and hurt people. So Troy would, going into the playoffs, if everyone is healthy on this team, he would be one of the 5 best offensive linemen, and he could fit anywhere. So that would be amazing for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Next, we got JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy, this is one of the teams that he could succeed on in the NFL. They have weapons everywhere with Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison. They have a good tackle duo. And this is a team that's paying a lot of money to their skill positions, so they could find a quarterback for cheap that showing that he could work in a pro system. And that's the type of system the Vikings run. This may even be a player they might trade up for if they like him that much. Next, we have the New England Patriots, who will be taking Alu Fashanu. And then for the Raiders, they will be taking J.C. Latham. And the Saints, they will be taking Brock Bowers. Yes, the Saints should take Brock Bowers here. He's the best player available, and that's the position they're in. So that explains the reason for the Saints pick. The Patriots pick, they have that right tackle who can play everywhere. I forgot his name, but he's an almost all pro in my opinion. And getting him somebody who could play on the other side with him would be amazing. And in the Patriots' point of view, we not as high as Jaden Daniels as the Broncos are or desperate. We got Jacoby Brissett. We don't think we're gonna be all that this season as the New England Patriots, but for our quarterback that comes in next year, we're gonna now have structure for him. We're gonna have a tackle duo for him. We're gonna find out some other pieces in this draft later on. But we got another first round pick for them Broncos. Got some future assets, and we're gonna see what we do with that. Next pick, we got J.C. Latham to the Raiders as a right tackle because they got Colin Miller on the left side, and completing that duo. As you see, if you have me and your GM, one thing we're gonna figure out is that tackle duo. Like, especially if you got one good tackle, if you get another good tackle, you doing great things as a GM. Now we got best player available with Brock Bowers going off the board. And now next pick is Quinion Mitchell. The Colts love them athletes. So if I'm asked as the coach GM, hey, we want an athlete who could fit our system and is a great player. I mean, Q Mitch is right there. Q Mitch is amazing athlete. He is a cornerback, which they need, and he could possibly just be the best player available at the position or just in general. Like, Q Mitchell will be an amazing pick for the Colts. Now we got the Seattle Seahawks, who, you gonna lie to Latu right here. They haven't had a bunch of pressure from their defensive line. When Leonard Williams came, he added a lot to that. Now you got Latu who multiplies it. Right here, we're gonna have something bold, real bold. For pick 17, we're gonna trade Brandon Ayuk. We're gonna have us a blockbuster trade. Pick 17, we getting Brandon Ayuk, and for both sides, let me explain this real quick. The Jaguars, if you could, as a Jaguars fan, trade pick number 1, Trayvon Walker for Brandon Ayuk, would you have done it for the opportunity to pay him? I think you should. Paying Brandon Ayuk makes you have an answer with Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is the answer, but you need an answer. Like, as of right now, Trevor Lawrence has unfortunately been somewhat disappointing, and we're at the point where we want no excuses. Hey, Trevor, I seen Brock Purdy work with Brandon Ayuk, and he played at an all-pro level. Trevor, this is an all-pro receiver. Let's see what you can do with him. And then for the 49ers, we go in and we replace Eric Armstead with Jerjon Newton. They need some beef on that D-line. They need better run defense. And I think Jerjon will be the first piece to that. Next pick here is, I could you not, if I stayed at pick 8 for the Atlanta Falcons, I was going to go with Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean fits this scheme to the T. The Falcons are a team that runs more zone than man. They have Cooper DeJean. They have AJ Terrell, who he will be working on the other side of him. They have Jesse Bates, another great player in zone. They have Richie Grant. This team could just be a flat out crazy team in zone. I know that their defensive line isn't as impactful as you would want it, but when you have a need as bad as the Atlanta Falcons defensive line, I think you got to go attack and get some veterans in free agency. I don't think you want to depend on no young player like that's unfortunate, especially if they don't turn out to be who they are capable of. I don't think you want to rely on young players. This man Cooper DeJean is a great athlete, multi-sport champion. Him falling to 18 is a blessing because they could have took him at 8, and I would have not been mad. Next, we got the Rams. The Los Angeles Rams. Where do I have them going in this draft? I think you go Dallas Turner. You get Dallas Turner. You get you a nice little edge rusher. Especially they just lost Aaron Donald, and they added players in their secondary. So Teron Arnold wouldn't be that big of a need at the moment. You go Dallas Turner. He's a great player, and he gets to fit what you need. Then with the Pittsburgh Steelers, you go Amarius Mims and you put Broderick Jones back to his original position of left tackle, and you keep Amarius Mims at right. For the Dolphins, you get Graham Barton. You gotta make sure Tua's healthy, man. You got to. Tua right now is the main priority in Miami. Keeping him well and healthy has to be a priority. And in the future, when Tyron Armstead leaves, he could teach him how to just slide right to left tackle. For now, Graham will be our guard swing tackle for whenever Armstead misses games. And then we have a replacement right there immediately. And when Armstead is here, we have an upgrade. Yeah, this is the same thing, very similar to Troy. He will be one of our 5 best offensive linemen, and he can play tackle sometimes. Right here, you just pencil in Teron Arnold to the. Yeah, you just do that. Teron Arnold to the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a pretty easy pick. Next, we got I'm just gonna go Jared Verse here for the Vikings. They need edge rusher after they just let go of. Oh man, Danielle Hunter. So that would be a great pick for them. For the Cowboys, I'm gonna go with Patrick Paul right here. Patrick Paul, he comes in and replaces Tyron Smith as a great pass blocking left tackle, 6'7". And then you can keep Tyler Smith at guard. And then you can keep Tyler Smith at guard, you have an all-pro guard right there. And they can just go back to being a dominant offensive line unit with Patrick Paul, Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, and in the guard and right tackle position. That will come together eventually. Right here for the Packers, you gotta go with Kool-Aid or Jackson Powers Johnson right here. Kool-Aid is falling, and for me, I shouldn't let him fall this far, especially with how high on. Oh man, I think Kool-Aid could be the best cornerback in this class. I really do, and the fact that he's falling this far is crazy. Jackson Powers Johnson is also great, but somebody's gonna not be able to make it out the first round. Somebody's gonna have to go in the second round. So we're gonna see who it is. Kool-Aid is gonna go to the Green Bay Packers. They're gonna have Eric Stokes play more slot now. They're gonna have Zaire, Kool-Aid, and Stokes. That's gonna be a crazy trio, and especially with Zaire Alexander, I could tell that the Green Bay Packers are. I wouldn't say tired of him, but I could tell the Green Bay Packers would let him go for the right price. That's basically what I'm saying. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at pick 26, we're gonna go with wide receiver Troy Franklin. The Buccaneers are a team that likes to run 3 wide receiver sets, which is a very positive thing for them. And Troy Franklin, when Chris Godwin contract expire next year, he'll be able to come in and be a wide receiver 2 to 3 for them immediately, depending on whatever they do with Chris Godwin. But the best we've ever seen the Buccaneers was when they had another receiver like a Troy Franklin that could win outside, that's very shifty. I wouldn't want to compare him to Antonio Brown, but I'm just saying the best we ever saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is when they had Mike, Godwin, and Brown. You replace that trio with Franklin, and you replace the quarterback with Baker Mayfield. So yes, it's not the same team exactly, but they work with three wide receiver sets often and well. Right here for the Cardinals, we're gonna go Jackson Powers Johnson. The I almost said the Cowboys. I did say the Cowboys. The Cardinals, they get to fix their offense day one of this draft. I mean, you have to for Kyler Murray at this point. Find out how much you like Kyler. I personally love Kyler and think he is a top 10 quarterback in the league. But now he has no, I wouldn't say no excuse, but you figuring stuff out. You at the beginning stages of a rebuild. You get the best player available probably in the entire draft with Marvin Harrison, and then you get an elite prospect on the trenches. So you building this team up. Next, we're gonna go with the Buffalo Bills, taking Brian Thomas Jr. I love his release and how he separates on the sideline. And going into the draft, I compare Curtis Samuel to Malik Neighbors a little bit on how they get open off of being very fast, twitchy players underneath a lot. Malik Neighbors has the higher ceiling, of course, because Malik Neighbors, I would say he's more Curtis Samuel and Stephon Diggs, which is pretty funny because both of those receivers are associated with the Bills. But Curtis Brian Thomas, he played with someone like that, and we saw how the offense worked. And Josh Allen loves throwing those deep balls, so Brian Thomas Jr. could be someone who gets open down the sidelines a lot for them, while Curtis Samuel keeps the offense honest underneath, similar to how they did in LSU. Right here for pick 29, we're gonna go with Xavier Legette. Xavier Legette is a great run blocker, physical specimen, fast, and he broke out this year for South Carolina at a senior age, which some people are lifting their eyes at. But I think this guy is, first of all, he fits the Dan Campbell mold as just this tough, strong, gritty guy, amazing blocker for a predominantly run team. And they just spent a lot of money on their offense. So having cheap people who could come and provide for them is going to be very big for them, especially Jameson Williams. He's been kind of disappointing for a lot of other reasons than the football field, but he hasn't seen the football field that much, unfortunately. So getting you another receiver would help you out. Right after, we're going to go with Lad McConkey. Lad teams up with his offensive coordinator who just got the job as the Ravens offensive coordinator. So Lad will be used the same way he was in Georgia, probably, or very similar. Especially they got Zay Flowers also. This would be a fun offense. You got Lad, Zay, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry. I mean, the Ravens are gonna the Ravens are picking this low for a reason because yeah, you give them too high of a pick, we're gonna have problems. And right here for the 49ers, we got them replenishing their entire defensive line. We got them getting Chop Robinson, and we also got them taking Jerson Newton. I might look at this Chop Robinson pick and lift up my eye later on because they could have gone Jordan Morgan. They could have gone with Mike. They could have gone with one of those two guys, but I think Chop Robinson fits the scheme that the 49ers run amazingly. He was one of those guys who the way that he got his sacks was off of stunts, which is what the 49ers predominantly do. So he will come in, replace Eric Armstead and Chase Young immediately. And with the last pick of the 2024 NFL draft, we have your defending Super Bowl champions going out and taking a left tackle with Jordan Morgan. I mean, right now their left tackle is Wanya Morris, or it's going to be Donovan Smith, who they get back in free agency, which I don't like that much for them. Not because those guys are terrible. Donovan Smith played amazing for the Chiefs last year, but I think the Chiefs are one of those teams where they could get the best player available in the draft. Whatever else they need, they could go get that in free agency. So, for example, the Chiefs they get Jordan Morgan right here. And then in free agency, they could just instead of getting Adonai Mitchell right there, they could go holler up at Odell Beckham. They could go holler up at Mike Thomas. Yeah, this is my 2024 NFL mock draft based off what I would do. This is a couple hours before the actual NFL draft, so let's see how this goes. Hope you guys enjoyed. May you leave a like, comment, subscribe. We have below 10 subscribers right now, so hey, let's see what number that could go to after this. Maybe we had a mil, maybe we had 1 million subscribers. But yeah, thank you all and have a nice day.